Hello? Can y'all hear me? Stream is looking really good today, I feel like. Pretty good lighting. Could be better, But, very centered. I didn't even have to adjust the webcam, like, for a diagonal. It looks really good. Um... Okay, we'll wait for some people to come in. But, we always start eventually. But I have some show and tell, I guess. Over the past month. Yo, the Masked Blue Knight 7490, what's up? I use Zeno from the server. Hey, Zatch Gamer. So, some stuff I got recently. I got this bad boy. The Virtual Boy. Replica. You can play Virtual Boy games on Switch too. You open it up and you put the Switch 2 in here. And then you look through it and it displays a 3D image. I've played on it a bit so far. I plan to jump back into it more. The unfortunate thing is my eyes are a little weird. So the 3D isn't great. The 3D effect doesn't like fully work for me, and for it to work, I really gotta change some things. But maybe I'll be able to make that better with like new glasses. But it's very cool to have as just a a display piece, if anything, if nothing else. But I will continue to play on it. Yeah, I mean, people just found it, the original Virtual Boy in the 90s, it was just very difficult to use for too long because it just gave you a lot of eye strain because it was bright red, all the graphics. And the graphics in this are, not only are they still red, in order to achieve like the correct like shade or whatever, there's a red filter in front of your eyes, between your eyes and the Nintendo Switch screen. There's a red filter that you can actually remove, because they're gonna allow you to change the graphics to different colors like yellow or green. It's still only going to be single colors, monochrome, I believe, also. And this I just got in today. I haven't even played with this yet. I noticed that my PS5 controller was running a little low on batteries, so I thought I'd get this because this was on sale. Death Stranding 2, limited edition DualSense. It's got drawbridge on there. Can't really see what it says, but yeah, love Death Stranding. I'm really looking forward to whatever updates they're going to put out to coincide with the PC release that's coming out next month. They're going to add some new stuff, I think, I've heard. So I'm looking forward to that. Got that controller. I might use that after the stream to play some Cyberpunk. And that's pretty much all I have at my direct, disposal that I can grab. Yeah. Big week this week in media before I get into the chapter. Today I'm doing this. That's exciting. Tomorrow, it's a 3-pronged attack on my time. Because we have the new Gorillaz albums coming out, and they're putting out an 8.5-minute short film to promote, it's going to be also, I think, double as a music video. And that's fully hand-drawn. I'm super excited about that. We haven't had fully 2D Gorillaz animation in, like, quite a long time. And I'm a big Gorillaz fan. That album drops tomorrow. I pre-ordered the album physically, but I don't think that's going to come for a bit, so I got to decide if I'm going to listen to it. We have Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2, the Apple TV Godzilla franchise show, which I did not like Season 1 much. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be watching Season 2. And Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt Russell still being in there definitely helps, because they're both really good. That potentially is already out. No, Apple TV tends to release stuff like pretty early, even some like the night before, you know what I mean? The release date. So I'm going to check after the stream. That's coming out. And then, of course, the biggest thing, Resident Evil 9 tomorrow. So I'm going to be playing that. It's going to be a big weekend for media. And there's other stuff that's happening soon as well, like Death Stranding 2 on PC. So I think we can get started here. For now, the manga dex upload of this chapter is still available, so I'm going to be using that. I know we're probably going to have to switch again at some point soon to Kubari, I think. I'm trying to have an issue with. And, you know, where we last left off, thankfully there wasn't a break. Zatch and Kyo went to Japan with very little fanfare. They spent some time with some old friends. And then we just kind of got started. Kanchime came up with a whole plan, so there wasn't like, you know, we're kind of the instigating force right now. You know what I mean? Which we kind of were the last arc, but then like the quote unquote villains, Cuffy and Ellaby, were also looking for Luna and Jilnose. So it was kind of like stuff would have happened whether we did anything or not. But I feel like this time we're really, you know, we're just going on the offensive a little bit, which is a change, which I like. So, you know, we've decided, Kanchime put together a team and said, yeah, we're going to go storm this castle, Bamfro Castle in the Momoto world. And what we really want to do is get my father's Poruk spell. And we don't entirely know what's so special about that. I theorized that Kanchime may want to imitate Belial, which I think Doodles on the server thought that was funny, but I was very serious about that. I think he could do it. If he thinks he can do it, then I think he'll do it. So, Kanchime said, oh, we're going to need one more person on this team. And they went to Mexico and found a strange woman who we are seeing right here. So, starting the chapter. So you're new to this Mass Blue Knight, I think. So I do a read through the chapter. I've already read it every time. This is I don't call these reaction streams. I just call them discussion streams. I think going through the chapter, A, is fun. B, is just a way to facilitate discussion. I'll often do a lot of the discussion of the chapter while I'm going through it. And then get to other stuff after that I feel was, you know, stuff that might take too long to discuss during, or stuff I didn't think of yet, or more general things and predictions for next time. So we're going to start going through the chapter. I usually don't have it on screen. I've only done that a couple times. So if you want to follow along, you can, you know, find it on Manga Dex or wherever you read. So we have the whole gang here. Kyo, Dahlia is holding the spell book. Kyo is dropping the spell element, the ghostly spell element onto it. I love how we have Ponygon just kind of, you know, just looking, his head rising over the sarcophagus here. And Zatch opens this case from Apollo, and the soul flies coming out of it into the sarcophagus. So this sarcophagus doesn't look super, and call you Xeno. Okay, I'll do it. They call him Z. They pronounce it Zeno in the show, right? But I think like the original like Zeno, the Greek name, I think is pronounced Zeno, the famous Greek philosopher, which I assume is where that name comes from. Obviously, he's Zeon in the Japanese. So the soul drops in the sarcophagus. It starts breaking. Dahlia is looking on. The answer is yes! Belgamio is here. Spinning around. Very happy to be here. My name is Belgam. E-O! What's this? I haven't even done anything good yet. Belgams! They won't stop eating! Kiki! Stop laughing! Classic bit for these two. Dahlia laughing like a witch, and then Belgam telling her to shut up. Belgam I considered getting like a voice changer for. I think that would be a fun thing to do. I have to figure out like how to implement that in the stream. For now, I'll just be doing the voice au naturel. Yeah, Zeno says, I was thinking of something about the last chapter. Where was Kane at? Yeah, some people were wondering that. I hope we get to see him eventually. You know, he kind of became a member of the Kyo's Friends group. after they reconciled with him. So why are Belgamio's gums bleeding? I don't know. It's kind of a reference to him biting his tongue, I guess, and he's just a weird guy. So, right after this, Spamfro Castle in the Demon World. We get another bigger look at it. You can definitely tell there's been some 3D modeling used here, just like with the Momoto world in general, you know, the Momoto Castle early on in the series when it had the big hole through it, which I wonder if we'll see how that was made. I don't think we have yet. But yeah, if you zoom in especially, you can see there's been some 3D modeling that's, you know, kind of been overlaid with some art and been combined. And then some stuff that is clearly not 3D modeled, like the main dragon head is, you know, just drawn. The horns might be partially 3D, though. It's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, really cool looking place. Still a little mysterious as to what it was or what it was used for. But it's massive, you know. It's definitely reminds you of something like out of Lord of the Rings. Like I think the Witch Castle, which I think was called Minas Morgul. But then it's also kind of like Minas Tirith, which is, you know, a good place. And the fact that there's like a little town in there. So here we are in Banfro. There are demons at the gate. They must have come for the spell vials. Ha ha ha. What a bunch of idiots. Some powerless demons think they can just waltz right in here. Get a load of these two. They're nothing but a couple of weaklings. Let's wipe them out. Gigano Garanzu. Rinfurido. Oruwigar. So Rinfurido being a spell that Conchame has encountered previously. And Garanzu we've seen already, so that's a Maru spell. Oruwigar is a Zabas spell. Gravire! Very wide range Gravire. We don't really fully see what's going on, but we see our lowest of the low betrayer friends. Mechaloon, what's Ikadoron, and of course Gofree, are standing near the back. Wowzers, isn't Gravire one of Brago's spells? Somebody actually got their hands on it. I'm so jealous. I'd sure love to know who's casting it, too. Bad, I'm not tall enough to see for myself. But the other two are tall enough to see, and they're reacting quite strongly to, of course, Sherry and Brago casting the spell. Brago is very gung-ho about coming in here. We still don't really know why. Apparently had years of anger relating to this place. And of course, they casted that spell and took out a bunch of the guys already. Presumably, actually, I don't think they did. Looking at the panel at the bottom, I think they used it to destroy the spells. So Gofree and Ikadoron are very scared, and Conchame and Coral Q are standing aside. So there's Brago. He's in full rage mode here, monstrous, and we're gonna launch into this little song here. So I don't know how I imagine this song. You know, maybe something kind of like, kind of like a haunted housey sort of theme. You know, something kind of jaunty but also spooky, like that kind of tone. You know, that's what I imagine. So it's like, what is Brago doing here? You know, that kind of thing. And it's like a little chorus, you know. Brago is beating them up already. One punch for each demon. So they're all singing in unison, in their thoughts, pretty much, at this occurrence. We thought he was dead. That's what they all said. A boss-level team dealt the fatal blow. Good job, too, Zatch Bell Gamer, for translating this. I think it sounds very good in terms of being like kind of a show tune. So Brago is continuing to beat these guys up, down, sideways. But the man standing here is the Brago we fear. Those three are just, they're not part of they haven't gotten beaten up yet. They're frozen in fear. So why is his magic restored when we're part of this horde? The lowest of the low. So we cast some spells, some more spells against them. Maybe ice spell, fire spell, maybe fango spell, and then maybe a Baritsu. And Brago grabs this one sad skull guy to deflect all three of these spells, to shield all three of these spells. We were doomed from the start. He'll tear us all apart. Can we escape from the brink of hell? So he's swinging people around. He's swinging kind of one guy back and forth and everywhere, knocking other guys away with him, punching people, caving their faces in, ripping through the yogas with his massive punch. The violent brute who has no need for spells. Punching multiple people away with one punch. A lot bigger than he used to be. Knocking this one guy's teeth out. Boom. It's pretty much already done. Pretty much destroyed everyone. Rampage is nearly complete. Of course, our three are left. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no! Quaking in their non-existent boots. Yeah, right, this was in the preview. The songs I know are always so annoying for you to translate. And of course, Raikou keeps putting more songs in. Ikadoran, you think you can slow him down with the spells in that vial? No way, Duran. It's impossible, Duran. No one told me Braga was going to show up to this thing, Duran. Even I don't stand a chance against him. Mecha Mecha. Woof Waka. Woof Waka. I once lost to Braga a long time ago. But that's because I was just a lowly dog back then. Well, not anymore. Now I've been blessed as the lowest of the low. I've leveled up into the most despicable dog there is. The positively low-down go-free. Recite the secret words. Lowest of the low. Scum of the earth. Just think of the rallying cry. Ha ha ha. Splendid. With all this, even Brago is no match for me now. Gigano Wanda Badoruk. So unseen up until now, Go Free spell. I think one of his own spells. I guess they gave him. What song in the show? But this song's not in the. Are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about what Ray's said. Zatch Gamer Brian has a character song about domination in the anime. Maybe that's one of those songs they put out on the CDs that's not in the anime that they used to do with a lot of shows. I haven't heard that Brago song. So yeah, this spell looks both kind of cool and kind of silly, which I assume was the intention. It also has the onomatopoeia "wan" in it, which is the Japanese onomatopoeia for a dog barking. So will this spell be able to do good against Brago? No. Brago punches him from the side. Really, just as like I said before, caves his entire head in. You don't see any head there in the panel. And you can see the energy kind of like rippling through his body. It appears that Brago kind of knocked the real Gofure out of the spell. And he rolls all the way back. Mechaloon gets out of the way. Dong! Kind of a bell, a death bell. He's on the ground. He's done. I predicted last chapter that these characters, betrayers, might actually put up not a great fight, but like an okay fight against Brago. Up to now, I am wrong. I don't think this is quite over yet, but up to now, I'm not correct. What am I supposed to do now, Ikadoran? I can't possibly beat Brago, but Bellio will get mad if I just stand here and do nothing. So let's see here. In the Japanese version, you hear Brago's song when you first use Babyruga Gravidon on the ancient demons. Huh. It's the instrumental of his character song, Hijo no Victory. So he has an anime song, now he has a canon manga song. Interesting. Oh, and the dub kept that tune. Speaking of the anime music, Ko Otani is working on a new anime for, I think, the first time in a while. He's pretty old, and I wish he would work more often, especially on, like, big projects. But he doesn't work that often. He's doing some anime about, like, I was reincarnated as a baby dragon. But if you watch the trailer, you can hear his music in it, and it's he did like a piece. It was kind of an interesting piece. It's like starts out kind of keyboardy and like electronic, but then it kind of goes into something you'd be more familiar with from him. It looks like we're at the end of our rope, Duran. So let me use this opportunity. I want to get something here. I need to plan this beforehand, but I forgot. Something I wanted to prep for this. Mechanon. Here we go. Okay, I got that. Need that in a little bit. Okay, so Coral Q is standing by. The signal I'm picking up on my radar. Grub, I'm detecting Ikateron and Mechaloon. They must be close by, P. Seriously? Your good pal and your girlfriend are both here? Well, look. I see them. They're right over there. That's fantastic, Coral Q. So, you can see something on the back of Coral Q's head. This weird little dot. I was wondering what this was when I saw it, but later in the chapter we actually see what it is. And I don't recall if these have been used before. But it's a communication device. It's what they're using to communicate between teams. So we'll see Kyo with one later. Ikateron! Mechaloon! Coral Q? Could it really be? It is him. Dun-it! I know, this is like a violin sting. He'll be easy pickings. Coral Q! Coral Q! That look on their faces. It's the look of a betrayal waiting to happen. Grub, stay sharp. Those two are backstabbing traitors, B. Huh? They are? But they're your closest friends. What did you see just now that made you think that? So, Coral Q surprisingly seeing this coming. Even Grub did not see it. He clocks this immediately. Look, I know these two. This is my girlfriend and my best friend. But yeah, these two are up to no good. I don't remember what he changed Wake's mace. It's kind of interesting. My first spell! Ikabu! Yeah! Spurt of ink, as expected. He really did go on the attack. Even his spells are true to his name. Grub, prepare to counterattack, B! Right, Robo-Rook! Tung tung! Gigana Robo-Ruga! From Mechaloon. God damn it, you treacherous robot shrew! Curse you, Mechaloon! He's beaten pretty soundly by a spell that strong. Dun 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 dun. Gets knocked back to his normal form. Grub, let's pull back for now, P. Mechaloon's spells are stronger than mine, P. You really are kind of pathetic, aren't you, Coral Q? Isn't Grub supposed to be on the same level as Kyo? Intelligence-wise, maybe. But you need emotional intelligence to see the faces of imminent betrayal. You don't need to have, mentals. You need street smarts for that, So Corthu's kind of pathetic, but wait, what's this? What is that? Okay, so something's happening. Mechaloon's doing something. Her head is spinning around. I don't know if it's spinning back and forth, or Let me know if this is too loud. Or too low, potentially. Or if it's going 360. I think it's funnier if it's going 360. And then from the keyboard on her chest is sort of playing this tune. We don't exactly know what it sounds like. But let's say it sounds like this. So this is continuing. Coral Q is he's getting, I don't know, it's having an effect on him. So I don't. This is just a tune that I know. This is a meme song. I just thought it would be funny to play. We don't know what this music might be inspired by. I tried looking into it a tiny bit, but I should look into it more. I'm sure there's a distinct tune Raikou had in mind when he wrote this, but I don't know what that is. You know, we'd have to find some sort of little Japanese keyboard toy or something like that, and see what that made. Yeah, you said this is really difficult to put the words up for. So thank you for your service. But Coral Q is getting, you know, he's getting kind of love struck. He's getting entranced by this. I won't be tempted by your womanly wiles. Sending love beams out. Flirting will get you nowhere. It won't work. Do you hear me? And Brago punches Mechaloon far, far away. Brago, you bastard! Get your hands off my woman! So it seems like it did affect him a little bit. I don't think he's gonna fight Brago now, but he was entranced by the beautiful the mating call or something of the robot Mechaloon. Meanwhile, they're hearing all this occur. Tia is just kind of going, oh god. How am I supposed to know what the heck is going on down there? Do you guys need backup or not? So they're running through this corridor. Belgamio's chair is just sliding along the hallway. Dahlia is sitting on his lap. In any case, our diversion seems to be working pretty well. Our primary goal for this mission will be to recover the spell bottle. We should split... This is a flashback. We should split up into two groups. The first group will distract the enemy guards, while the second moves in to grab the bottle. Yeah, it was pretty funny, yeah. She's just been listening to all this, or most of it. Coral Q. Like Momon, you have the ability to detect the whereabouts of magical power. I believe Momon has it much stronger, but he does have that ability. You can use that to your advantage and be better prepared for the enemies up ahead. We'll need you to collaborate with Brago and keep our enemies occupied in the meantime. If I've got Brago in my corner, then this'll be a cinch, B. But don't forget, we'll also need you to keep an eye on our own movements. It's crucial that you warn us if there's anyone nearby who could give us trouble. So will Coral Q be cognizant enough to do this? Coral Q, do you read me? Coral Q, you have to calm down. Kiyomaru's trying to contact us. Wah! Biyomaro! Brago swooped in and crushed all my hopes and dreams. This is where you see the communicator in Kyo's ear. Tell me about it later. But that aside, we're almost at the room where the bottles are kept. Can you sense any enemies lurking nearby? Just a sec, B. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to... It won't show as an image. It might show as a link, which I'd be okay with, presumably. I don't know if I'd be able to click the link from my stream software, but you can give it a shot. I don't know. Ding, 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 ding. In addition to the spell bottles that were already there, I sense a new type of magic, B. There are 2 more magic powers in the area now, but they feel fainter than the others, B. So we see, I don't know if this is like Coral Q's kind of imagination from what he's sensing. We see an overhead view of this area, which, thinking about it, this maybe is supposed to resemble like the Soliton radar from Metal Gear. Which I think was sort of popularized that concept of like the stealth game minimap, you know, that shows like the position of enemies and stuff. Though it's actually not in every Metal Gear game, only some of them. So we see there's a lot of dots against this wall, which are the spell vials, and then there's 2 other dots in front of those, which are the magic powers that he is sensing. Momon did tell us that there are some enemies here who have the ability to conceal their power. It's a pretty safe bet that those same enemies are guarding the bottles. Thanks, Coral Q. We'll have to proceed with caution. Alps! 10,000 yen! Boom, booka, 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 boo! So she's still doing her, what I thought was like kind of a scam routine from the last chapter. And Belgium is enjoying it. Haba biba, 70,000 yen. Boom, booka, 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 boo. So I didn't look that up. Is that anything? I don't think it's not that I can see. Hababiba. I don't know what that's supposed to be. The mountain she's offering to get people to tour. Dahlia, you remember who I am, right? No, I don't know you at all. I'm here because they said an old friend needed my help. What old friend? Did I ever have one? It sounded strange to me. So I went with them thinking it'd be nice if I ran into one. And then the craziest thing happened. An Egyptian skeleton man appeared out of nowhere. Are you really my old friend? Yeah. Even if you forget, I'll always remember the time we spent together, Dahlia. Then I guess we are friends. Hooray! Hooray! Ha ha ha! That's a relief. I wasn't sure those two were going to fight together. So there we go. The bonds of friendship, echo even across being mind controlled by Zophis. My mama's spells are just up ahead. Your mama's spells? Yep, if I can get my mama's spells from there, we can bring her back to life. Dahlia talking so much is both cursed and amazing. Yeah, it's a surprise. Is your mama a skeleton like you? My real mama died a long time ago. The mama I'm talking about was nice enough to take my dead mama's place. How sweet. Then I guess I'll have to help you. So, if you were a reader of the Zatch Cafe chapters and you remember them quite well, you know already who Belgamio is talking about here. How's your mama, Dahlia? Is she well? My mother, I think she's probably doing fine. It's like the first real expression we've ever seen on this lady. Somewhat of a wistful expression. Clearly she is hiding something emotionally. What could that be that has anything to do with anything? I have no idea. This whole scene is kind of weird. I almost kind of felt like this scene was put in... it felt to me like they were writing a chapter and one of Raiku's assistants was like, does Dahlia, remember Belgamio? And if not, why is she so cool with all this? And they were like, oh shit, yeah, we should probably address that and not wait until the next FAQ chapter to do so. So they put in a little scene. That's kind of how it seems to me, though. Who really knows? Yeah, I mean, you should check out the cafes. They're pretty fun. There's a new cafe for Volume 6. I'm not sure if we'll read it after this, because it's going to be pretty late by the time we end. I would like to do it eventually, but, I don't know. It's out there if you want to check it out. So what's all that about? I don't know. We won't find out this chapter. Maybe soon. Well, I guess we should go in then. They arrive at this big door. Open it. And these two are there. Oh, this is quite a surprise. Ooh. So there really was a division foolish enough to march all the way down here to swipe some vials. We see 2 cards facing us. There is a woman with a skirt, kind of an idol outfit a little bit. And this star symbol on her chest and some curls. Her hair seems like she probably has red hair or pink hair. And then this guy, fancy kind of guy with a cool jacket, big long sideburns, a really long sword, and this weird kind of egg case thing that he has holding in his hand. So people on Twitter, and this was kind of interesting because there was there was a YouTuber, I think Kenny Lauderdale, who I think is mostly like a video game guy, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe he does anime too. He shared these character designs on Twitter, and the tweet got some traction. I'm not going to say viral. There's a difference, but people were responding to it. People were liking it. He was praising Makoto Raiku's character design, and in response to that, there were some people who weren't even into Zatch Bell, who were saying and this happened with a couple different tweets, a couple different responses. And let me just load this up here so I can remember who they were talking about. They were saying, yeah, this guy looks like Deimos Hierarchy. And I was like, well, who the frick is that? And he is a character with sideburns. He has sideburns and a sword, but it's like a lightsaber. And then he has kind of a long... It's almost more like Zatch's like frock or cloak than it is like anything this guy wears. But the similarities are there. But the most important thing is that this guy, Deimos, he's from 5 Star Stories, which is a series that we know Raikou is big into, because he had a 5 Star Stories diorama in his old studios, and I think maybe even in the bathroom to that old studio. I know they had like a couple dioramas set up in there for display, which is very funny. And that was actually the first time I'd ever heard of 5 Star Stories, was looking it up from him posting about that on his blog. So it is definitely possible we have some visual inspiration for one of these new enemies here from this guy. Does he have the chin? He might have the chin also. So, give back Mama Patty's spells. Dahlia, read any spell you see in the book. So yes, Belgam Eo's mama is Patty, as we saw in the Zatch Cafe chapter. When Belgam Eo, they were about the same age back then. I think they were both about 7. And Belgam Eo's mom, obviously, was alive 1,000 years ago, but she's died since then. So Patty, even though they're the same age, offered to kind of be Belgam Eo's new mom and have him move in with her. And it seems like Patty has likely grown up in the intervening years. Belgam, even though he is technically like 19 or 20, has not seemed to have grown up that much, and he still has a big attachment to Patty. Gigano Reus! So we know Belgam Eo's spells are big and powerful, but this guy raises a sword. Shing! First, it seems like he's just kind of deflecting it with the sword or shielding against it, but no. Snicker snack, as Lewis Carroll wrote in Jabberwocky. He cuts the spell into like 4 parts, and it goes up behind him. Successfully deflected. Dahlia, keep the spells coming! Hard to do that witch laugh. The chair, he's moving with the chair. Mama Patty spells! So the symbol in this vial, I actually thought was Bianco last time. But no, it's Patty. It's supposed to resemble like a water droplet. Give them back! Erimu Ryuga! So this is a spell that we saw him have previously, where he just spits fire. Probably just because it looks cool. Gariagiakuru! Strange arm manifests above her real arm and fires this big, sort of very focused blast of water with these kind of like claws or fangs that are inside it and around it. So I don't remember if this was a spell we ever saw from Patty previously. I feel like it wasn't. And we don't really know if these claws are added by this monster using the spell, or if they are part of the original spell. I think they're from her. You know, they're from this enemy's power. Watch out! Get out of the way, Belgam Eo! Dong! Smashes part of the chair easily. That spell's power. It wasn't any weaker, even though it was cast from inside the bottle. Which they normally are supposed to be slightly weaker. There was so much force put into that. It was almost like... Dun, 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 scree. It's a chair. Mama Patty launched it herself. What a scary spell. It is a new spell, yeah. That witch must be behind this. What in the world has she done this time? So they're both thinking immediately, the witch, who had previously upgraded our last enemies, must have helped with this as well. Mama Patty's spells, huh? So these are what you wouldn't stop screaming about. Not bad at all. This girl's tough as nails. And behind her we see this thing continue to materialize. The arm is very built out and detailed, but the rest of it is sort of just taking shape. It almost looks organic. One who does One Punch Man often draws things this way, certain monsters. They're just made up of like these weird, like kind of organic, like veiny looking kind of things that are coalescing. And we see that this clearly resembles an adult Patty. Somehow, this villain has managed to use some element of Patty's spirit, soul, who really knows, to empower her magic. And it has taken the form of this sort of JoJo stand-like entity. We know Raku is also a big JoJo fan. And that is where we end chapter 37. So will we get to see this thing further coalesce into like a full stand-like form this chapter? Or is it only going to be the arm? We don't know. We have to see. But yeah, this is another really cool development. To move into the full chapter discussion. I really like that the witch is upgrading the enemies in like concrete ways that we're getting to see. You know, it's really cool to see the enemies upgrade like that, just as our heroes continue to upgrade. Right now, they're only upgrading kind of by working together and getting more allies with different spells, but soon we're going to get to see them upgrade in different ways, I'm sure. But yeah, the witch is a far bigger threat than anyone expected. One of the most important enemies in the series, who's had the most kind of taken the most action against the heroes, to use this magical technology to help people. So, you know, not only is she helping this enemy harness Patty's spells, but I think that weird orb thing the guy is holding, probably also something by her that we haven't even seen used yet, most likely. Or it could be a case for Patty's kind of power. We'll have to see. So after the chapter, we get this ad for this crowd-funded watch, which is a pretty cool-looking watch. It's very cool to have a fancy Zatch Bell watch that exists. And I guess when you order it, you also get like this Rashield like towel or something. Or a cape. I don't know if we need that. But yeah, that's neat. I don't know if that's been crowdfunded yet, but I'm sure it will be. Zatch Bell is popular. Then we got the usual ad for the Mochinoki store. We have the ad by Zatch Bell Gamer for the revamped scans. We have our credits, so thanks to Zatch Bell Gamer and the team for that. And no new name discussion in this chapter, because we didn't get any new names. Not for these new villains. Hopefully we will get that soon. So that is the chapter. I really like this chapter. I think this chapter is a great mix of comedy, action, and plot development. The first part is really funny, you know, Rampage the musical, as I called it in the title to this, with all the enemies singing in terror at Brago. And, you know, Brago beating them down. But that fight, as I said, is not over yet. I think it would be incorrect to think that that is over. I think that there will be some conflict there that Brago and the others have to face. Maybe not necessarily from these three. Almost certainly not from these three. Though Ikadoran is not, he has not yet been punched. He's unpunched for now. So maybe he'll have some kind of secret weapon, you know. For now, it seems like when they've been using these spells, they've just been using them pretty normally from the vials. So maybe the bracelet does have some kind of secret hidden thing that Ikadoran will use. But yeah, poor Gofrey got beat up again, as pretty much everyone predicted. I thought maybe he would put up more of a fight than he did, but he couldn't put up a fight at all. We just got to see this kind of cool, kind of silly spell. So yeah, I guess it's as good as time as any to get into that. So I don't fully understand exactly what's going on with Manga Deck, because I don't really pay attention to scan sites, period. I don't read that many manga scans. My big current manga that I'm reading is Baki the Grappler, which I've been buying these volumes as they've been being put out. So I'm getting a collection of that going, and that's been good. But manga decks, I've heard people say they're kind of going legit like Crunchyroll, but if they were doing that, then they would remove all the fan translations from the site, which they haven't done. So I'm not entirely sure what's happening with them, if they're simply moving to like a new way of supporting their site. I really don't know. But I'll believe you if you say it might not be that bad, Zatch Bill Gamer, and I don't know if you'll continue to use manga decks or what. But yeah, I don't really need to get into drama regarding that. Oh, I guess Zeno left. Yeah, I'm glad he stopped by though. I will let me message here. There you go. Okay. So yeah, I'm glad he stopped by. Yeah, the South Korean giant Kakao Entertainment is breathing down every manga reading site's neck. Manga's only survived it by looking legitimate. I think they're just trying to keep up appearances. It's weird, right? Because it's like, surely if this company has lawyers, like the lawyers would just be able to see that it's still not legitimate. So chances are this probably is not over. But I guess we will see. So yeah, we had the Braga Rampage, all the stuff with the three betrayers, the lowest of the lows, funny. Coral Q was good. I wish we would have gotten to see him fight slightly more, but we still might get to. In the coming chapters. You know, Conchime, this is Conchime's entire plan, so he's going to have a role to play. You know, I assume Kyo and friends are deep in the bowels of this castle complex, so Conchime might be kind of heading upwards with Brago, or maybe they'll get split up, who knows. But just because Brago has beaten this initial contingent, I think there's definitely more on the way. And then, you know, yeah, we move on with our other friends, which this is a really cool team, you know. It's 3 out of the main 4, right? Unless, is Ponygon here for this? Shouldn't have closed the chapter. Because I don't recall seeing him with them, so he might be... I feel like Conchime did mention bringing him, but I don't know if he's with us right now. And poor Ponygon, man, you know, he's... I'd love to use him more in these, but he's... He just hasn't seen much action. He'll get his day. I know he will. I still frankly don't think he needed to be reintroduced when he did. That was one of my big issues with that arc. But obviously it's nice that he's here. But yeah, he hasn't done much yet. I could still use him to voice other characters, but I don't know. There was no one who jumped out at me as being good for that in this chapter. So yeah, let's see here. So no, yeah, Ponygon is not with them right now. He is with them when they're planning it, though. So I think he is part of this team. So this team, really, it includes most of the good guy characters that we've met up to now. I mean, who's not here other than Jolnos? Are there any good guys who aren't here? I don't think so. None of the good demons. And none of the enemies have officially turned good yet, but we know that's kind of coming. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Ponygon factors into this. But, you know, we have all of the main 4 on this mission. This is the first time we have this in this series. They're not together, but main 5, you could say, with Brago, who are on this mission together. So that is exciting that we're finally having that, you know. This is the kind of the first arc where we're probably going to see team fights that are happening like from the start. You know, if in the previous arc, you know, Zatch and Kyo largely had to fight the enemies on their own because Jill Nose was kind of passed out from having to make the replacement body for Ellaby. But now we're gonna just get to see team fights, you know, kind of right from the start, which is very exciting. Brago was, you know, taking those guys on his own for now, but you know, I think we're gonna see team fights in both areas of this, which is super exciting. You know, it took us up until the Pirio and Lupa battle. I think was kind of the first major team fight of the series. That's not necessarily true because you know, like we had Tia's original arc. But that was like the first big one, and then when they really became kind of the new norm was during the Millennium arc, when the enemies started getting, you know, multiple people as well. But they didn't always have multiple people. Now they pretty much always do. There's always multiple enemies, though sometimes only one of them kind of has the ability, but most of the time they each will have some type of ability, you know. But as the series has gone on, we've seen that more and more, where, you know, first Gil doesn't really do anything. Hanage Boo, I think he maybe could do a couple things, but I think he described having some training in martial arts or something, but I don't really think he used that. But then everyone after that, you know, we were having both characters had abilities. Excuse me. Right, Barry, thank you. Yeah, Barry is the only one who's kind of sitting this out. Yeah, and we don't, you know, we have Brago here. I don't think we also need Barry. But yeah, that's super exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to collaborate for this. And we've already seen Belgum do some stuff. He's been the only one to really take action so far in the lower level. But, you know, hopefully we'll get to see him do some more. Maybe get out of the chair a little bit. Maybe use some other spells if he has any, or if he can unlock a new one. Obviously, we do want to see the old characters do more. You know, we don't want it to just be the Belgum EO show. But I was kind of pleasantly surprised by how he was utilized in this chapter, in this arc, where, you know, when Kanchime was like, oh, we need a guy, and they went to Gedalia, I was like, oh, they're bringing Belgum EO back because he's a kind of a meme character like Coral Q. The funny characters always get brought back first. Kanchime was the first member of the main four outside of Zatch to come back. Then we got Coral Q. Now we're getting Belgum. Next is going to be Victorine or whoever. But no. That is actually not right. Belgum EO does have a part to play in this arc because Patty is his, like, kind of adopted mom. So when they started talking about that, I was really happy to see that because I love references to the Zatch cafes, even though it does bring up the somewhat thorny conversation of how canon are these chapters. Which, you know, I've heard some people just declare, they are canon! But I think that's pretty clearly not the case. There does not exist a magical interdimensional space that is a cafe in the shape of Zatch's head where the partners and the Motos meet up before they meet up again in the sequel with a robot Coco. That didn't happen. That didn't actually happen. Now, what I tend to say for the cafes, and we've gone over this before in the stream, is that the broad strokes of the events and the information that's imparted in the cafe chapters did happen in some form or another. You know, that goes from the stuff we've actually seen get confirmed, the stuff with Dawan that he alluded to that was kind of the setup for the sequel, this stuff with Ponygon, and there was like one other major thing that I think was confirmed from the cafe. I forget what it was. And, you know, I think that goes all the way down to, you know, Ponygon sort of saying, hey, it's, you know, I like being called Ponygon now. I'm okay that you keep calling me Ponygon. Because I love Sunbeam, and that's, you know, that's just what he wants to call me. So I'm okay with you not calling me by my actual name, which is really sweet and nice. And I think in some form that probably did happen as well, you know. But yeah, they're definitely not canon as a whole. Yeah, I mean, Clearnote talked to Zeno after he was already reincarnated as white. Like, come on, it's silly to say that they're canon. I don't think many people are saying that, but I have seen that said. Um, but it's still, pretty much all the plot developments from the Zatch Cafe chapters are all really interesting. One of the major ones that I think we can be sure is going to be visited at some point is Zophis and Rodu potentially teaming up. We're not sure how they're teaming up. Would they be the lowest of the low? Maybe not quite the lowest of the low, but pretty low. Working under Belial, or would they be doing something else on their own? We don't know. Maybe forming some sort of rebellion against Belial, but for their own purposes. That would be exciting. But yeah, we have these two new villains who are really cool. There's a part of me that's like, do we need to keep introducing new enemies? Don't we have enough that we can kind of revisit a couple? But that's gonna happen. I think, for now it's okay that we have new enemies each arc, and you never know what's gonna come down the line, right? Maybe Hem will show up in this arc. Maybe the Witch will show up in this arc. But we have a lot of people to get back to now. There's pretty much someone from nearly every pair we fought have survived. So like the villains, the cards that are still on the playing field. We have Gil, we have Levi, we have Pola and the Witch. We have most of the Zabrit brothers. They only killed a couple of them back then, the Zabrit family. And then I don't remember if we have that weird dude that Tia fought. I feel like maybe he's gone. And we have Blue and Bobby. The only one to die in that arc was the Rolling Witch, Miley Cyrus. She was the only one that they eliminated. So we have Blue and Bobby and Hem. And then Moses and what's his name, the Libra, the monster, were killed. So they're gone. But yeah, I mean, and then Gilliam and the weird cryptid guy were also eliminated. But there's a lot of enemies that we could potentially come back. Gunther, that was his name. Go Free is one of the funnier things about the comedy stuff here. It's very funny how he just talks about how awful he is and how much of a betrayer he is very funny, and especially, if you read the first series, which I think most people reading this did. I like that a lot. I hope he gets to get back up and do some more. I did like the look of his spell. It was funny, but it was neat. But yeah, I think these guys are going to be two villains worthy of being able to fight against this team. We have a dude with a really fancy sword and this mysterious orb, and then we have this lady who can use these kind of JoJo stands to make these spells probably even stronger than they were when they were cast as Patty. So that's really exciting. I think we're going to get some great action coming up next month, which is very soon. February's almost over. So hopefully they're working on a chapter. So I think one of the last things we need to talk about is, obviously it's very exciting that Patty's coming back, but there's not much more to say with that beyond what's shown here. Patty is a pretty popular character. I believe I predicted last month. I don't think I didn't go 100% on it, which I should have. But I did mention that I thought it was likely she'd be coming back soon. I think I said Patty or Wan Ray. And let's predict, right? We're getting Patty this arc. Next arc is going to be Wan Ray, let's say. Probably not just him either. I've said this before. We're going to be getting in arcs where we're going to be bringing multiple people back. But I do think we're going to get Wan Ray in the next arc, most likely. The thing is, we don't necessarily know if we're going to get Patty back this arc. We don't know if we have a way to really fully bring her back. But this can kind of be considered to be Patty coming back. She's an element in the story now. She's being talked about. Her powers being used. And I think you're right, Tactical Gamer. That's kind of what this stand is. I do hope we see it coalesce in a full form. I do hope it's not just the arm. But the one thing I really want to mention is this thing with Dahlia's mom. I mean, I thought it was interesting enough that they were addressing Dahlia's thoughts on Belgamio, period. They could have easily just kind of ignored it, that she should technically have no memories. But not only that, but then Belgium asks her about her mom, and it's like this weird kind of emotional moment where she says, well, I think she's probably doing fine, but she clearly is not telling the whole truth. Her mom seems to be alive from her view, but what the heck does this mean? What could Dahlia Anji's mom possibly have to do with the story of Zatch Bell 2? Who knows? This does not seem like a joke. Maybe it'll be the setup to a joke. But it could also be something real, that for some reason Raikou is just like, if I'm bringing Belgium back and he's important, I need Dahlia to be important too. The best speculation I've heard on this is that Dahlia's mom is the witch, which would be very funny, I think. I think that would be really good. I don't really care that people predicted it. I think that'd be very funny if Raikou did end up doing that. Because, you know, Dahlia has the witch cackle, right? And the witch is just continuing to be an important character who's now directly linked to this arc by the magic that she's using. What if the witch comes to them on a hologram call where she's talking to the other cards and Dahlia's like, oh my god, that's my mom. Which would mean that her mom did die at some point, which I suppose Dahlia wouldn't know. But yeah, I mean, that's... whatever happens I'm going to be game for. I'm not going to be super disappointed if Dahlia's mom isn't the witch. I think pretty much whatever Raikou does with this weird plot point that he's introducing is going to be interesting. But I want to say that's most of what we have to talk about for this chapter. I like this chapter quite a lot. I have very few issues with it. I do kind of feel like we were robbed of seeing a good Gravy Ray, like 2-page spread or something. But we've seen that before, and it also makes sense to set up the joke that, Mechaloon thinks that one of them is using Gravy Ray as a spell. This is just more stuff that it's like, we gotta see this animated, people. Come on. This whole chapter would be really fun in animation. Getting to hear Belgamio talk. I actually don't really remember what his voice is like in Japanese. I really like his dub voice where he switches between a low voice and a high voice. I was not going to attempt that, but I do really like that. I think it's very funny. I'm excited for next chapter. Not too much to predict. We're going to see more of this fight on both sides. We're going to see some new wrinkle with what's happening up on the ground floor with Brago and the gang. Maybe learn a little bit about why Brago wants to storm this place. And then we're going to see this fight continue on the bottom level, and I think probably learn more about, well, how was Patty defeated? How were they able to kind of use her energy to make these spells stronger? And what's going to happen there. So... I think for my prediction, I think we only have 3 months left, which is crazy that it's already been that long. It might even be 2 months. I'm not really sure when I started it. But I think only 3 months before we for me to be correct, we need to get either a English license for the manga, either manga, or a Zatch Bell anime announcement of any sort. And look, I predicted it. I'm still confident. I think it could easily happen at any time. Pretty much any time Raikou tweets, and I can see that there's no that emoji, there's no him going he often does onomatopoeias and stuff in his tweets. If there's a tweet that he makes and there's none of that, and especially if I see Zatch in Japanese, gash, I'm like, stop the presses, this could be it. And it hasn't been up to now, but I still have a lot of faith. I have notifications on for Raikou on Twitter, so I'm always seeing that. But yeah, I mean, look, things have still been happening for the Zatch Bell franchise. There's been no new announcements, but I think the Sanrio collab stuff was put up for pre-orders, and immediately sold out. So I mean, once again, more evidence of how popular Zatch Bell is. Unco Tintin, if ever dub, Zatch Bell Gamer says, would have had Belgamio's voice. Perfectly poetic, because it's Kyo's teacher's voice asking him to multiply 6 digits. That's funny. Yeah, that's one of my favorite bits. The Uncle Tintin stuff is that whole conflict is really fun and really good. Where he, asks him like, "Oh, surely you can't do this," and Kyo, just spits out the answer immediately. Um, and of course, Uncle Tintin saying, "Shut up, I am God." Him asking Megumi to say his name, which everybody pretends to cover their ears but doesn't really do it. There's so much great stuff in that. Where where the part where you see he like looks down and you see like the like sketchy demon face Kyo from like way down below. Real like there's so much good stuff in that conflict. And then of course he gets serious later on with Wanrei. So yeah, that was really good. But that's all we have to talk about for now. Zatch Bell's still on the come up or something, you might say. We can hope. A lot of things are still happening with it. Just nothing particularly new outside of that watch that they're trying to crowdfund. So I think that's where we'll wrap it up here. We're over. This has been a long stream for a Zatch Bell chapter. It's been over an hour, and not only is my voice getting kind of tired, but I also got to go to the bathroom. And yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up here. I want to check if that Godzilla show is out, and if not, I'll play some Cyberpunk. So I will see you guys next month. Hopefully for chapter 38. Really excited for this one. Nothing planned before then, but I do have a big reason to finally get my Elgato working. I've had an Elgato forever. Elgato allows you to stream from like, I think pretty much any device that you can connect to it, you can stream from. And I've been so lazy, I've never set it up because I've always been content to just stream automatically from my PS5 whenever I need to stream. And from here when I do these streams. But I recently learned that the PSN store is still active on PS3. And I downloaded one of my favorite games from that era, which is a game called Pain. Very silly game. It's not like an M-rated mature game at all. It's a very silly and fun game. And I would love to stream that for people. To go back and experience Pain. And show people what that was like and why I love that game so much. On the PS3. For that, I would need the Elgato. So I might do that. Keep an eye out. But that's going to be it for this month. So thanks to everyone who tuned in. Sorry for the wait. As always, these never come the week of the actual chapter. That's always very rare. And I'm looking forward to next month. So thanks to everyone who tuned in. Zatch Bell Gamers, Zeno, anyone who watches in the future, please leave a comment. I will do my best to respond, and hope y'all have